Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Netling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome everyone to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Netling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of the podcast is to share topics and guests that will empower you to grow as a confident leader and take your business or your life to the next level. Today, my guest is Phuti Mphelo. Let me tell you a little bit about Phuti. Utilizing her free yourself from self-sabotage techniques, Phuti loves to assist women find their passion and power, which allows them to stop feeling stuck, ashamed, and insecure about themselves and their money situation. She is a chartered accountant, neuroencoding specialist, which we're going to find out more about, and master NLP practitioner. She is the author of the book, The Self-Sabotage Syndrome. Stop limiting yourself and start thriving. And the upcoming author of the books, Fix Your Money Story. Eliminate chaos and insecurity in your finances. Take charge and enjoy financial freedom. Don't we all want that? She's passionate about helping women with money, relationships, and how to get out of their own way, eliminate that yo-yo financial performance, which leads to an inconsistent result in their money story. Our theme today is why women self-sabotage their financial success. Please join me in welcoming Phuti Mphelo. Hello, Phuti.
Hello, Vicki. How's you?
I'm fine, and this is a topic that I think everyone, young and old, have struggled with. I think sometimes it's almost like a thing that's handed down from your parents, especially for me. You know, I'm 64. So when I was young, my mom didn't work and wasn't supposed to work. She, wasn't encouraged to work. And it wasn't until I was a teenager that after, my mom had 7 kids. And so it got to the point where she wanted to help out, and so that whole thing about money creates so many things in our heads. But before we get into the meat of all of this interview, I really want to have you share where you are calling in from. What part of the world are you calling in from?
Right. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm coming all the way from South Africa, very supposed to be sunny South Africa, but it's winter. So that's why I've got my coat on. And most people are aware of Johannesburg. So I'm 4 hours north of Johannesburg in a town called Lephalale.
Lephalale, what a nice name. Lephalale. Well, I am a person who loves the summer, so I'm happy that Atlanta is nice and warm now, and not a lover of the winter. So I'll send you warm thoughts.
Thank you.
So my first question is, how did you go from being an accountant to a neuroencoding specialist and author?
Well, it's quite a long story, but I moved. So I was working for a Big 4 company, my last job. I got married and my husband moved up north. So as us women do, I followed him. And it's quite a small town. So as a professional, as an accountant, I'm technically unemployable. because there are no big companies that will hire an accountant. So, but look, I had always had the dream of running my own business. So I took it as an opportunity to do that. So since arriving in this town, almost more than 10 years ago, we've been in business. And
Wow.
as you know, as a business person, there was a lot of learning, believe it or not. I was an accountant, but we were never trained to make money for ourselves. So through all of those processes, because soon enough, I realized something was missing. So I'm that type of person who goes back and tries to see what's wrong. So in that doing, I got myself some coaches, and one of my coaches was an NLP practitioner, and then a neuroencoding specialist. And seeing the change that happened in my life, I decided to focus on doing this so that I can impact other people. That's the short of it.
So that's very interesting. You actually saw what it did for you, and you wanted to do the same for others. That's a great way to find a new career. I remember whenever I was in a situation, I had the company that I worked for was moving, and I chose not to move with them. And I signed up to be a temp because I wanted to do just to figure out, I have this opportunity of something different. And this was in the early 90s. And so it was like, okay, well, let me just dip my foot in these different kinds of jobs to see what I would like to do. So similar to what you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do women sabotage themselves?
Whoa, that's a big topic.
I know we might have to have another session for this one.
But it's so common. It's scary, and I love the fact that you're in the US and I'm in South Africa. I'm in Africa. It's everywhere. So with the people I've met, I've met a number of people throughout the world, different cultures, different backgrounds. We all do it, different context. Let me say it's common. It's very common, different context. Women sabotage, honestly, because of our identity, who we see ourselves as. And then there's a topic I'll touch on, epigenetics. So we've seen our mothers do it. You do it.
Mm-hmm.
You also highlighted what your mother did. We've seen our grandmothers do it, and it sort of comes down until you stop and want to do something about it. So to simplify it, it's our identity. We've been told certain things about ourselves and what women should do. And summarize, we're usually right at the back, behind everyone else, after everyone else. And naturally, it means your needs, your wants come last. And there's a saying that says you can never outperform your self-image. And that's what self-sabotage is about.
Wow. And it's so true because, everyone mimics from the time we were little. That's how we learned. We mimic what we were exposed to. And you also had, especially, at least here, me growing up, what I experienced was you didn't want to toot your own horn, if you will, or boast about yourself, your skills, because that was not the kind of person you wanted to be. And then later, as a mother, you always did you always were trying to do for others, putting yourself last. And I love the example of, being on a plane, and when the oxygen mask drops down, you first do yourself before your child. And I think that's what we as women forget, to give ourselves the oxygen mask first.
Yeah. And usually it's until a drastic situation where you're forced to look back and say, hey, hold on. Usually it takes that. It's hard. It's rare that you just realize, you know what, I need to start taking care of myself. That's unfortunate. We're usually backed into a corner.
Yeah.
To then do something about it.
And that's true I was just thinking, it's like an addiction. With an addiction, you usually have to hit rock bottom before you really try to do something. And it's almost like that. We're addicted to being that critic that says things worse about ourselves than anyone else would ever, we would never say about anyone else, but we will say them to ourselves in the mirror.
Yeah, yeah. And that's part of the work, that we do is to try and not fix. You cannot fix, but it's to change, to shift how you identify, without putting anyone else down, but is giving yourself the permission to thrive, because most of us have the tools within us to thrive, actually. So it's giving yourself permission to say, hey, it's not that bad. I'm not that bad. This is what I would like to do. Can I tell you something? A lot of people, especially women, don't even know what they want.
Yes, that is so
They
true.
know what they don't want, but they don't know what they want, because we were never given that permission. And then that's why we have the angry woman syndrome. We've got all these weird, and imposter syndrome on top of that, where you keep telling yourself that you're not good enough. You keep telling yourself that you're a fraud. I mean, I know there's abusive situations and, you could meet toxic people, but I don't think anyone could put you down more than you put yourself down. Yeah. I doubt, because when you decide that it's enough, you will come out of it.
Right.
And
that coming out of it, you shouldn't expect it to be an overnight thing. It's those little small changes that you have to make.
Activity, not action. One of my coaches likes saying that it's action is a once-off. Activities, the things we continuously do. So in this case, it's the stories we continuously tell ourselves over and over, because that's how beliefs are formed. Beliefs are formed from repetition, the things we see repeatedly, the things we hear repeatedly from others, from self, and that's the then most of us act from that. So as you think, you will feel, and as you will feel, you will do. As you do, you will have. So the results. So self-sabotage simply means your goals are not aligned to your values. Yeah. So you want certain things, but do you really want those things? That it starts there, where your goals are not aligned and you're standing in your way to do that.
So let's get into the money aspect of this. Why are so many women afraid to talk about money? Again,
we were taught to do that. It's crass. It's insensitive. It's vain. I mean, the religious aspect of it, also, where we've glorified not having money, waiting, the heaven is coming syndrome, so we're so afraid of, which is the funniest of things, because in most cases, I mean, I don't know everyone, I don't know every situation. In most cases, women actually make more than 80% of the financial decisions in the home. But we would rather talk about our funerals than talk about money. Does that even make sense? I mean, you don't necessarily have to be making the money, but the financial decisions in the home, the buying decisions are made by us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The weirdest thing. So it's the culture, and it's not specific to wherever you come from. It's just, what you've been allowed and not allowed to do. All of us are doing, most of us are doing what we're doing. We're working women. Even if you're in the home, a lot of what we do is to secure some form of financial situation.
Well, sure, you have to make sure that food on the table, that the
So, and again, there's a statement that I heard where it says, in all honesty, all things that are important cost money. Yeah. But look at how many, yes, I know it sounds materialistic, but honestly, our healthcare costs money. Just getting to work costs money. Feeding our bodies costs money. So it's the weirdest of things, why we're so afraid to talk. Yeah, it's the system. I think the system was not created for us to do well. The system was created, the way it looks, the system was created so that only very few people at the top keep getting ahead while you and I stand and watch. I believe that's how the system was created. And you have to now look outside of the system, because to be honest, it's not working, in all honesty. For us, and that was my wake-up call, that, hey, something is wrong here. You're missing the point somewhere, because there are people that are doing it. There are people that are doing well consistently, and I'm not talking oh, look at my Ferrari, look at my 7-story house. No, I'm just talking about the comfort that you have with your money, removing the shame, removing the guilt, because immediately when that happens, that's your thought process. So when you're feeling sad and ashamed about your money situation, and any situation, to be honest, what happens is you feel differently, you feel bad about it. And feeling bad about it means what? How you behave will be in a negative way, and then your results will be bad. So that's where it starts, the shame and the guilt, and oh, it's not gonna last. Oh, what if it all goes away?
And that really is what, describing those insecurities that we have with finances. And, we're not smart enough. We are terrible in math, and I don't know how to do a budget, or all of those things kind of pile up on us.
You're doing it anyway. You're doing it anyway. I mean, if you're if you go for your grocery shopping, you're doing maths. If you anything, I knit, and even in knitting, there's numbers and stitches. When you're baking, it's numbers, it's maths. You're adding up cups. So I'm just about that to say, to be in all honesty, I believe the system was made to look like this thing is complicated. It really was, where there were these number of companies that will help you be able to manage your money better and all of it. It's a simple thought process of saying, okay, I make this much money, I need to live on this, and how do I manage that? Right. And sometimes we find, and I'm being realistic, I'm not saying but sometimes you find yourself stretched, and the trick is then not making that a consistent habit, because they're back to activity. What you consistently do will get those results. So that's what we need to rethink our situations with money. Remove the shame, remove the guilt, forgive yourself for the mistake, and then you move from a better place. But that starts with what? Being comfortable about the money, just talking about it.
So I have here, how does getting a handle on our finances help us grow as a confident leader?
Wow. I think that's just living by integrity. That is living by example. That's being, because as a leader, you've got people looking up to you. And remember, when people look up to you, they're trying to fill their own desires and wants through you. So most of the things you don't even know. But when someone looks at you as a leader, when you're in that role, people expect, unfairly, but that's just what it is, everything to align and to be in check. But it's not. So, but I feel that if you're in a leadership position and you are comfortable and confident, and just honest with yourself to say, okay, I think I messed up here. Let me fix it. This is how I fix it. I mean, these days, the how is the easiest thing. There's so much information on the internet. There's coaches, it's not like in the olden days where all that information was hidden. I heard that 80% of all information that was created since the beginning of time, 80% of that is already on the internet. So how is the least of our problems? Right. It starts with what do you want, with your identity, with your values, with your beliefs, with what you deem to be important and what you deem to be true.
Well, this time has flown really by. We are on now to the last question before the rapid fire. What would you have for advice of your 20 or 30-year-old self? What would you tell them if you had the opportunity?
I would just tell her, it's not that bad. It really isn't. Like, that's all. That's all. It's not that bad. You're gonna be okay. Give yourself a break.
Yeah. Give yourself the grace.
Yes.
Good advice. So what's your next destination in life?
Wow. Let me think.
Somewhere warm.
Right now, yes. You know what? I've always wanted to go somewhere in Greece, not specific where. It just looks like a beautiful place. The food, more than anything.
Yes, I am right there with you. And the water, so beautiful.
Oh, yes.
What's the best part of your writing your book? What was the best experience of doing that?
I think the best experience was, to be honest, starting, just sitting down, just sitting down and starting. And then you realize that if you give yourself the grace and pace yourself, it's not that bad. But the best part of it is reading like a chapter that you've completed and like, did I type that? You know, I know it still has to go through editing and they'll change certain things, but just looking at it like, did I really type that? Just realizing how much you have inside of you that you can put on a piece of paper for others to share or to you get to learn about.
I know with the book that I'm contributing to right now, that was one of the advice that we had is, if you don't get it all done in 1 or 2 sittings, but make sure each time you go back to it, you start from the beginning and read it. Yeah. And there are, things that you might edit, but you might get those creative juices going again. So I thought that was great advice. How do you stay focused?
Whoa, that was a big one. But yeah, so how I do it is a trick that I learned is I break up my times in 30-minute sections. And I sit and I switch off everything. And I'm up to 3 sessions a day. And that helps me when I close everything out, because there's so much noise, emails popping up and stuff. So I schedule my focus time. I don't expect
Very good. Yeah. That for me, with 2 businesses and a project management contract, I have to do that. I can't do all that I do unless I segment my time. Yeah. What would you like people to remember you for?
Wow. For the impact, but transformational impact that I've made in people, really. I was at this point in my life before I met her, and at the end of it, this is how far the needle has moved. That'll make me really proud.
And I think that's important. I think what you and I do is to try to help others, and seeing the results, the outcome is the gratification.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about this, but how do you eliminate chaos in your life?
You get order. I think it's Steve Eka who said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Most of our finances at the beginning are a mess. Yeah. The money comes in, the money goes out. You don't know where it went. You don't know when, So just get order, get a system. That's the first part. And when you do, I think when you sit down and look at that, in all honesty, you will know when you're over, when you're under. And I hate the word budget, believe it or not. I hate it because it doesn't work. It used to freak me out. A spending plan, just have a plan. The plan, what do they say? If you fail to plan, we all know it. That, even just plan. Even so, it's just that, write what comes in, write what goes out, write what you need. Start there. Then let's manage the overs and the unders.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead, and I'm going to, this is my warning for everybody that is listening in on the audio only. I'm going to be sharing my screen, but I will share with you the information, at least to write down. All right. So we have the contact information. I think one of the best things for you to do is you can connect with her on Facebook by going to Freedom Coach Phuti, Phuti. So again, that's Freedom Coach Phuti, Phuti. She's also on Instagram at phuti.mphelo. That's PUTI.PMPHELO. She's on Twitter at Freedom Phuti. And her website is yaytofreedom.com. That's YAYTOFREEDOM.com. She has a gift for you, so I'll let her talk to you a little bit about her free gift or her gift. Go ahead.
Oh yes, so I've got a book, Overcome Self-Sabotage. It's just 5 strategies how you can overcome self-sabotage. And also on my link, on my calendar link, you can just book a 20-minute personalized Own Your Power Roadmap session, just so I can help you see where you are. You hopefully help you clarify where you want to go in that session.
Awesome. Definitely. So definitely check out her book too, Overcome Self-Sabotage. It is on Amazon as well, or is it just on your website?
No, so for this book is just on my website.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we had some wonderful advice given to us today. It's been wonderful. I want to thank Phuti for sharing her story and some great tips and some tools to help us really overcome self-sabotage and not be afraid of our finances. And I really encourage you to reach out to her website, to her social media, connect with her, ask her questions, let her know what you thought of this, and hopefully you all will get some takeaways to get your finances and your life in order. Until next time, remember, life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nettling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.